This is it, what? Cohiba lit, what? We got that yak up in the cup and getting bent, what? Put some smoke in the air, this your shit, what? And raise your glasses if everything classic. This is it, what? That Chiba lit, what? You got some drink up in your cup and getting bent, what? So put some smoke in the air, this your shit, what? And raise your glasses if everything classic. Stogie light in it.
You were tuned in to the G5JeffTv end of the year award show. It's your boy G5JeffTv. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button as you come on in. Now, we all know COVID-19 has completely destroyed 2020. 2020 has been a trying year, but sport of boxing has had some really, really good moments, despite this year being so crazy. Now, my most improved fighter of the year goes to Joe Smith Jr. Now, I know, I'm from Philly. Yes, Joe Smith is the same guy that knocked Bernard Hopkins out the ring and moved him into retirement. Yes, Joe Smith is the guy that defeated my homie Jesse Hart, who was trying to avenge Bernard Hopkins' defeat of Joe Smith. Yes, he's done Philly dirty. He's done my city real dirty. But I'm a boxing hardcore first. I'm a boxing purist first. And I have to be 100% honest. I got to keep it 100. Joe Smith Jr. is the most improved fighter of the year in 2020. Now, he was an underdog against Jesse Hart. He was an underdog against Eleider Alvarez. But I want to go back even further than that. When Joe Smith lost to Dimitri Bivol, Joe Smith not only lost in a blowout, but a lot of the things that he was doing inside of the ring was amateurish, I have to say. And some of it was just the skills, and some of it was Bivol being that good inside of the ring. So when you lose, you have two options. You can sulk, or you can go back and you can improve your craft. On top of Joe Smith getting two very big victories in 2020, more importantly, he gets most improved fighter of the year because of what he's done to improve his skill set inside of the ring. Okay. Now, when you look at the Jesse Hart fight, now some people put an asterisk on that because of Jesse Hart's injury going into the fight. Now, I know Jesse Hart was injured going into the fight, but that wasn't Joe Smith's fault. It was something that just happened. Joe Smith had to go in and still perform. Jesse Hart had to go in and still perform because they couldn't postpone the fight. The injury happened too close to the fight date. Now, what Joe Smith did in that fight is kind of what he's been working on after the Bivol loss. And the main thing he did in the fight against Jesse Hart was he walked in the front door, but he chose different ways on how to walk into the front door. So, for example, the old Joe Smith would try to walk in the front door with no punches being thrown. He'll just rush in, leaving himself open for counter shots, things like that. But when you get to an advanced level in boxing, you're trying to walk into somebody's front door. You have to give them something to think about. You have to camouflage something so you can walk into the front door without having to pay that admission fee. So what Joe Smith was doing in the Jesse Hart fight is sometimes he'll jab to the chest, get to his spot. Sometimes he'll jab to the head, double jab to the head. Sometimes he'll triple jab to the head just to get to his spot. And what I mean by getting to his spot is he was getting into his punching range and he was staying defensively responsible all at the same time. Sometimes he would throw a little soft shot to the body just to close the distance. And once he got in the range, then he would let his hands go. That's the main thing. That's the main difference that I realized with Joe Smith in the Jesse Hart fight, despite Jesse Hart's injury, because I think Joe Smith would have did the same thing in terms of his approach, even if Jesse Hart was 100% healthy. Joe Smith showed me in that fight that he was willing to try different things to put himself in position to let his hands go. And that's the marks of a good offensive fighter, pressure fighter. Now, when you think of Joe Smith, you think Joe Smith is just a puncher. And yes, he is a puncher. He's a very strong dude, very strong dude. But the way he fought against Jesse Hart and the way he fought against Eleider Alvarez, he's fighting more like a boxer puncher than just a puncher. And it's great for me to see when a guy is improving on his craft. Now, that was the Jesse Hart fight. Let me get this out of the way from a personal standpoint with Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr. has his own business, works a 9-to-5 job, and he's a boxer. Even though he's done Philly dirty, as far as Jesse Hart and Bernard Hopkins is concerned, his background screams Philly. His background screams Philly. I know he's from New York. His background screams Philly. Blue collar, hard hat, hard working, getting it from the mud, from the dirt, from the concrete. That's what Joe Smith's background represents. So even though he's not from Philly, his background represents my city in a lot of different ways. So I got a lot of respect for Joe Smith Jr. So let me get that out of the way. Now let's move on to the Eleider Alvarez fight. Now, Eleider Alvarez was coming off of a huge victory, huge knockout victory over Michael Seals. And Eleider Alvarez was, his stock was up. His stock was up. And Eleider Alvarez was a favorite going into that fight with Joe Smith. Now, with Eleider Alvarez, he's one of the most laziest fighters in the sport inside the ring. He has so much talent, physical talent, inside of the ring. He just doesn't work throughout the course of the fight. Like, he will probe until he finds the perfect moment and then he starts throwing shots. But Eleider Alvarez is lazy inside of the ring because he won't work to create opportunities for himself on offense. And then on defense, he tends to be a little lazy. So I like Joe Smith's chances going into the fight. But actually watching Joe Smith do the things that he did against Eleider Alvarez, like, it was amazing to see. It was amazing to see. He put on a clinic on how to be a boxer puncher. A clinic, absolute clinic. Joe Smith jabbed to the chest, got to the inside, went to work. Sometimes he was throwing a double jab, triple jab to get to his spot, and then he just went to work, let his hands go. Sometimes he was throwing jabs to the body to keep Eleider Alvarez thinking and to get his eyes moving up and down, to set up overhand hooks that he was landing in the fight. Constant pressure, effective aggressiveness, and Joe Smith didn't care what he was hitting, but he made sure he was hitting Eleider Alvarez at all times. He broke down Eleider Alvarez. That's the same guy that beat Sergey Kovalev. Iced him. That's the same guy. Same guy. And I gave Eleider Alvarez 1 round. Joe Smith went in there and put on a show. Period. And now Joe Smith is in position to win the WBO championship at 175 pounds. I think it's February 5th or 6th, 2021. And he's expected to win that fight. So you take Joe Smith Jr., the guy that lost to Dimitri Bivol, and you watch the improvements in the Jesse Hart fight. You watch the improvements in the Eleider Alvarez fight. What he's doing offensively. He's staying defensively responsible. He is creating effective aggressiveness throughout his fights. Not only because of the wins that he got in 2020, but the improvements that he made inside of the ring are the reasons why G5JeffTv is proud to say that Joe Smith Jr. is the most improved fighter of the year. Now, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. G5JeffTv, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Please share this video. Support your boy. Support good content at all times. I appreciate y'all. Peace.